The morning sun poured through the tall glass windows of St. Mary's Hospital, its golden light warming the spotless floors and white walls. But inside the waiting area, the air felt heavy, thick with exhaustion and despair. Tired faces sat slumped in plastic chairs, footsteps echoed across the hall, and the scent of antiseptic clung to the air. Then, breaking through the noise, came a voice, fragile, trembling, and desperate. At the reception desk, a young mother fell to her knees. Her clothes were torn at the seams, her hair unkempt, and in one hand she clutched a worn-out teddy bear, while in the other she held her sick little girl. Her voice cracked as she cried out, "Please, someone, please save my daughter." It wasn't just a cry. It was the scream of a soul breaking under helplessness. Some people turned to look. A few stared with pity. Others looked away with indifference. But no one stepped forward. To them, she was invisible. Just another struggling soul in a world moving too fast to care. But fate had placed someone there that morning, someone who wasn't supposed to be. Walking down the hallway was a man in a sharp suit, polished shoes clicking against the tiles. His life was filled with riches, power, and privilege. A man whose decisions built empires and moved markets. His name was Adrien Cross, one of the wealthiest men in the country. He hadn't come here for patience or problems, only for a quick board meeting about a new medical wing his foundation was funding. His schedule was tightly managed: private jets, luxury cars, business deals that never waited. He had no intention of stopping in the waiting area, but as he passed the counter, he froze. On the floor was the mother, clutching her fragile little girl, whose cheeks were pale and whose small chest rose and fell with shallow, weak breaths. Her name was Marissa Lane. Life had not been kind to her. Once a bright student with dreams of becoming a teacher, she had been abandoned by her partner when her baby, Sophie, was only months old. Since then, she worked 3 cleaning jobs, often skipping meals so Sophie could eat. For weeks, Sophie had been sick of fever that wouldn't break, weakness that left her unable to stand, and a cough that grew worse every day. Doctors had confirmed what Marissa feared: her daughter needed urgent, expensive treatment. Without it, her chances of survival were slim. Marissa had begged at charities, knocked on countless doors, but all she received were sympathetic smiles and whispered apologies. And now the hospital told her the same thing: "We can't start the treatment without payment." Her cries echoed through the hallway. "Please. She's just a child. Take me instead if you must, but don't let her die. I'll do anything." Sophie whimpered faintly in her arms, and Marissa's sobs grew louder. Adrian's chest tightened. For years, he had lived by the rule that everyone controlled their own destiny. His empire was built on contracts, negotiations, and a belief that weakness was failure. But as he watched Marissa, he saw something he couldn't ignore. Sometimes people didn't fail because they were lazy. Sometimes life crushed them under burdens too heavy to carry. He could have walked away. He could have told himself it wasn't his problem, but instead he found his steps moving toward her. The mother looked up, her tear-stained eyes meeting his. She didn't see a billionaire, she saw one last hope. Adrien leaned toward the nurse and spoke quietly but firmly. Prepare the child for immediate treatment. All expenses, cover them under my account. The nurse froze, stunned, then quickly nodded and rushed to arrange the procedure. Marissa gasped, holding Sophie tighter. Why? Why would you do this for us? Adrien looked at Sophie's tiny hand, clutching the teddy bear. Finally, he spoke, because no child should pay the price for what the world failed to give. And no mother should have to beg for mercy that should already be hers. Hours passed. Sophie was admitted, and doctors began the life-saving treatment. Marissa waited outside, trembling with fear and hope. Adrien stayed to his tailored suit and polished shoes out of place among the worn chairs of the waiting area. Yet he sat quietly beside her, offering comfort with nothing more than his presence. Memories stirred inside him. Long ago, Adrien too had grown up in poverty. His own mother had sacrificed everything, even going hungry, so he could survive. He had buried those memories beneath layers of wealth and success, never allowing himself to feel that pain again. But Marissa's voice had broken through, reminding him of a love he once knew, the love of a mother who gave everything. At last, the doctors returned with news. Sophie had stabilized. The treatment was working. Relief washed over Marissa, and she collapsed into tears, this time of gratitude. She turned to Adrien, her lips trembling, but words failed her. Adrien wasn't finished as he listened to Marissa's struggles, her 3 jobs, her constant battle against rent and hunger. Something inside him shifted. Quietly, he made another decision. He arranged for Marissa to receive steady financial support net as charity, but as a job in his foundation with flexible hours that allowed her to care for Sophie. He also set up an education trust fund for Sophie, ensuring she would never be denied opportunities because of poverty. Marissa shook her head in disbelief. You don't even know us. Why go this far? Adrien smiled softly for the first time in years. Because once someone gave my mother and me a chance, and it changed everything. I think it's time I return that gift. The story of Adrien Cross and Marissa Lane spread quietly at first among hospital staff, then among those who witnessed it. In a world clouded by greed and indifference, one act of kindness lit a flame of hope. A billionaire, once untouchable, had chosen to bend down and lift someone who had fallen. That choice had not only saved a little girl's life, but had rewritten the future of an entire family. That evening, as the sun set outside St. Mary's Hospital, Marissa held Sophie close, her daughter's breath stronger, her color returning, and for the first time in years, Marissa felt something she thought she had lost forever: safety, hope, and the belief that miracles still happen.